Well, at least we're not 4-13 again. Yeah, that was painful. The Indianapolis Colts lost to the Houston Texans 23-19 last night in one of the most crushing, heartbreaking ways I have ever seen. Obviously, you have the drop pass from Gardner Minshew to Tyler Goodson, but you can't blame the entire loss strictly on that one play. There was a lot wrong with the Colts game last night, so let's review it all from the Colts' perspective. On the offensive side of the ball for the Colts, this game went the complete opposite of how we expected. Jonathan Taylor had 30 carries for 188 yards and a touchdown. That's 6.3 yards per carry, which is almost double the amount that's usually inflicted on the Texans' run defense. Zach Moss had 6 carries for 30 yards as well, too. So really this entire rushing brigade for the Colts was awesome all night long and was really the thing that was fueling this Colts offense. There were moments where it stopped moving forward, and props to the Tex run defense for holding strong on those plays in those moments. But for the most part, this run game was incredible for the Colts and really what was keeping this offense moving forward for Indianapolis and giving them a chance to win this game. And honestly, they needed it too. We talked in the preview for this game about how the Colts needed to exploit the weak Houston secondary because that is their biggest liability, and the Colts basically had nothing going for them through the air. Statistically, overall, Gardner Minshew was 13 for 24 passing for 141 yards, his top receiver being Josh Downs with 3 receptions for 48 yards. Michael Pittman Jr. had 5 catches as well for 44 yards himself. Gardner Minshew was missing throws all night, of course, culminating with that 4th and 1 heartbreaker at the very end of the game. The offense in general just really couldn't get going. The run blocking from this offensive line, once again, was stellar for most of the game, and that really kept this offense moving forward with the help of course, those running backs actually making the plays that they needed to make. But pass protection for this offensive line was just a completely different story. Gardner Minshew was in constant danger, and that once again directly affected his ability to throw an accurate pass, and it really limited our offensive drives overall, as that Texans pass rush was getting home to Minshew over and over again. Minshew had no breaks the entire game. Late in this game, it felt like our drives on offense were just fueled by penalties and the run game, which almost was enough to win. But of course, we came up short. Drives were just running out of gas completely, falling apart in Texans territory, and that's why we attempted so many field goals. One of those field goals doinked off the upright, and like I said, of course you can't blame the entire loss on just one play or a couple of plays, but the Colts were, just a hypothetical, the Colts were in field goal range on that final drive, and it would have been a 3-point game if that field goal earlier on had gone in. But on top of that, the Colts were 1 for 11 on 3rd downs. And of course, their 1 4th down attempt at the very end of the game was an incomplete pass there. So 1 for 12 on key downs. And that low of a level of key down efficiency is just unacceptable for a team fighting to get into the playoffs. A couple more yards on a couple key plays could have turned the tide in this game. And what was really a 6-point game, but turned into a 4-point game at the end, could have gone the way of the Colts with just a few clutch plays and a few key moments on 3rd down and 4th down. We only had 1 successful 3rd down try the entire game. Especially in Houston territory, these drives for the Colts just completely fell apart and ran out of gas altogether, which once again just simply is unacceptable for a team looking to get into the playoffs. We shouldn't be reliant on Matt Gay knocking down another long field goal to keep us close, to keep us in range in a game with a now playoff team in the Houston Texans. This loss absolutely fell on the offense. It's because of execution, it's because of play calling, it's because of everything. And the fact that the offense lost this game for the Colts is especially frustrating considering the fact that Shane Steichen is an offensive-minded head coach. Obviously, this loss is not entirely on Shane Steichen or the offense in general, but that was the major weak link here, was the offensive side of the ball for the Indianapolis Colts. Once again, I'm thankful for JT and the defense. Outside of that first 75-yard receiving touchdown from CJ Stroud to Nico Collins on the very first play of the game, I feel like this Colts defense really did play well. Devin Singletary was significantly limited all night. He had only 2.6 yards per carry. That's 63 yards over 24 carries. Besides Nico Collins and Dalton Schultz, the passing attack was fairly limited as well. And they got pressure. The pass rush got pressure on C.J. Stroud as well, too. DeForest Buckner and Ronnie Harrison both recorded sacks, crucial sacks, in the second half of this game. Juju Brents was injured, and we did miss his presence late in this game. But overall, the Colts defense played well, and it certainly played well enough to win this one. The one thing I was significantly concerned about for this Colts defense was the fact that after that 75-yard touchdown from C.J. Stroud to Nico Collins, of course, that touchdown is concerning in and of itself. But overall, I think that the Colts defense, the secondary felt very apprehensive after that 75-yard touchdown. It felt like overall they were leaning towards taking away the deep ball, which is fine, and they succeeded in that. There wasn't another deep pass for C.J. Stroud the entire rest of the game. When I say deep pass, I mean 20, 40 plus yards through the air. He didn't have that the entire rest of the game. The Colts secondary took that away, but the problem is that then leaves open those short air raid style passes that we know C.J. Stroud has been so dominant with all year long. Other than allowing those sort of air raid style passes to go through for the Texans, which on defense, you're not going to stop everything, probably, right? Especially at the NFL level. Overall, I was very happy with the defense for the Colts. Run defense, pass rush, limiting Stroud's deep passing options, forcing throwaways. It was everything. The Colts defense gave us a chance to win this game. I was very happy with that side of the ball. The clutch stops on third and short, just everything. I could keep talking, right? This Colts defense, I was very impressed with. It did have its bad moments, and of course, a 75-yard receiving touchdown on the very first play of the game is not exactly the most attractive sight for Colts fans, but I was happy with this Colts defense overall. They gave us a chance to win. Unfortunately, though, the offense did basically nothing to capitalize on the opportunities the defense was giving it. Indianapolis only got in the end zone one time, and that was off the back of Jonathan Taylor. It's just frustrating. We had a chance to win this one. We had a chance to punch our ticket to the postseason for the first time in years and years and years, for the first time since Phillip Rivers, and we just couldn't do it. And it's frustrating again and again as a Colts fan to see this happen over and over. But of course, you have to be happy with this season. We were 4-13 last year, and once again, we have this situation where we're close to the playoffs. We're right there on the cusp, and just in the final week of the season, we throw it all the way against a division opponent. But like I said, we have to be happy with the season. We have to look back, see the bigger picture, and say, okay, we were 4-13 last year. We drafted a quarterback. He got hurt, and still somehow we were a game away from the playoffs, essentially playing in a postseason play-in game, I suppose you could say. Next week on this show, on the Colts Perspective, we're going to go over this entire season. We're going to look at every win, every loss, what was good about it, what was bad about it. And then in the weeks following, we're going to deep dive into each specific position group. Quarterbacks, we'll probably start with the offensive line and then go with quarterbacks, running backs. It just, you know how it goes, right? Every single position group, the strengths of it, the weaknesses, what we may need to change, what was perfect and we want to keep the same into the offseason. And so for the first couple months of the offseason, we're just really going to be looking back on this season and nitpicking at different things and looking at what was great, what was not so great, and what we could do next season to elevate from a 9-8 season. Certainly, a 9-8 record, looking at that and saying that that's what we need to elevate from, is a very refreshing sight for Colts fans, considering the frustrating 4-13 year last year. I'm excited for next season, and I'm excited to break down this one, because it was certainly very exciting, if nothing else. This game mattered in Week 18, which is not something that we can say about the Colts every single year. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Colts Perspective, and thank you for being with us along the ride of this season. I look forward to moving into the offseason and really reviewing and analyzing this team with you from the Colts Perspective.